Welcome to the Grim Reaper channel, where we bring you bone-chilling true stories from around the world. From haunted houses to unexplained disappearances, we have it all. So turn off the lights, grab a blanket, and get ready for a scare. I was Emily then, the quiet, shy one amongst a group of high school buddies. Each of us a jigsaw piece that made a beautiful picture together. We were the misfits, the brains, the artists, and the rebels, bound together by shared laughter, tears, victories, and defeats that had graced our youthful years. Our prom night was a kaleidoscope of our teenage life coming to a vibrant climax. It was the culmination of years of shared history and camaraderie. The one night we had all been waiting for with bated breath. The palpable excitement was like a live wire, a buzzing current that invigorated the air we breathed. Each of us, groomed and draped in our best attire, wore our hopes and dreams on our sleeves, stepping into the hollowed hall, our hearts throbbing with anticipation. For me, Emily, the introverted bookworm, it was a step into unfamiliar territory. Social events were never my forte. I was the girl who found solace in the quiet corners of the library, the girl whose best friends were the characters living within the worn-out pages of books. But this night, this prom night, was different. I was swept away by the collective enthusiasm of my friends, deciding to step out of my comfort zone, curious to experience the world beyond the confines of my solitude. The school gymnasium, a place usually echoing with the clamor of bouncing basketballs and screeching sneakers, was transformed into a dazzling spectacle for our prom night. The once barren walls were adorned with streams of twinkling fairy lights, creating a magical glow that seemed to pulsate with the rhythm of the music that reverberated through the air. Tables, embellished with glistening tablecloths and delicate floral arrangements, lined the room, while at the center stood the beckoning dance floor, awash with multicolored lights that danced and swirled, matching the pulsating beats of the DJ's music. The joy was infectious. Smiles adorned every face, laughter echoed off the decorated walls, and the chit-chat of excited students filled the air, creating a melody of youthful delight. The atmosphere was electric, fueled by the students' exuberance, anticipation, and the promise of a memorable night. The music, a perfect blend of throbbing bass lines and catchy tunes, served as the lifeblood of the night. It ebbed and flowed, matching the crowd's mood, inciting enthusiastic cheers as favorite songs came on. My friends and I joined the throng of bodies swaying to the rhythm, our awkward movements gradually becoming more confident, our nervous laughter replaced by genuine delight. Even as I let the music guide my movements, I couldn't help but feel a pang of disbelief. Here I was, Emily, the reserved book-loving girl, not nestled in a quiet corner with a novel, but amidst the laughter, the music, the radiant faces, and the pulsating energy of the prom night. It was an experience far removed from my usual solace, a thrilling departure that promised an unforgettable night. As the night wore on, filled with music and laughter, a prickling sensation crept up the back of my neck. It was the feeling of being watched, a creeping discomfort that drew my eyes away from my friends and to a corner of the room. A figure stood there, removed from the crowd, radiating a vibe as out of place as a winter chill in the middle of summer. He was an older man, his attire a disarray of shabby clothes that clashed horribly with the formal outfits of the high school crowd. But it wasn't his appearance that caught my attention. It was his eyes. They were piercing, a smoldering intensity beneath bushy brows directed quite disturbingly at our group, more precisely, at me. His stare was persistent, a predatory gaze that sent a shiver down my spine. I could feel the unease crawling under my skin, the joyous atmosphere now laced with an undercurrent of dread. I gently nudged my friend Alicia, nodding subtly towards the strange man. Her brow creased in a frown as she observed him, her usual bubbly demeanor replaced by a guarded expression. The merriment seemed to dissipate as we shared our concerns with the others, our voices dropping to hushed whispers. Even in the dim light, the shadowy figure was strikingly conspicuous. Our friends followed our gaze, their faces reflecting the unease that was steadily bubbling within me. They agreed. The stranger was odd, his intense stare disturbingly out of place amidst the cheerful ambiance. But we were young and at the peak of our celebration. We didn't want one creepy man to ruin our night. We decided to dismiss him, brushing away our worries like annoying flies, unwilling to let them steal away our joy. We plunged back into the festivities with renewed vigor, forcing the eerie man out of our minds. We danced, we laughed, and we made merry, the man's sinister presence fading into the backdrop. Our excitement drowned out the nagging sensation of his gaze, the music's rhythm reclaiming its grip on our spirits. Yet the happiness was tainted, the nagging unease an undercurrent beneath the pounding beats. We tried to maintain our jovial facade, but the sense of apprehension lingered. Despite the flashing lights and the infectious energy, we kept stealing glances at the man, his disturbing presence a constant prick at the back of our minds. The night took a turn for the worst when the man's unblinking gaze gradually transformed into a more sinister form of attention. His stare began to follow me like a shadow, his movements mirroring mine. Whenever I would glance back, I found him steadily inching closer. It was like being stuck in a nightmare. Every time I blinked, he appeared closer until he was just a few feet away. The growing discomfort constricting my chest turned into pure fear. He was not just a silent observer anymore. He was a participant in the night's events, albeit a most unwanted one. It was a slow, disturbing progression, his unwelcome attention creeping closer and closer, staining our celebrations with an insidious undertone. Then came the moment that set our hearts racing. The man moved with a sudden boldness, invading my personal space, his intentions clear as he reached out to pull me onto the dance floor. His rough hand clamped around my wrist, a sickening grin spreading across his face. I froze, fear paralyzing my voice. Immediately, my friends sprang into action, their initial unease turned into pure shock, their laughter giving way to cries of alarm. The dance floor, once a place of joy and freedom, became a chaotic whirlwind. The music faded into the background, the laughter silenced by the discord unfolding. The scene was a horrifying contrast to the festive celebration we had all imagined. But the nightmare was far from over. The man's face twisted into a snarl as my friends intervened, his demeanor shifting from creepy to downright aggressive. He shouted, his voice a grating echo in the sudden silence. His fury was a wildfire, spreading panic through the crowd, the wave of fear palpable as it swept across the room. In response, my friends encircled me, their faces pale but determined, their arms linked together, forming a human barricade against the onslaught. Our prom night had transformed into a horrifying game of defense, our dresses and suits becoming armor as we braced for his next move. His eyes burned with a feral intensity as he tried to push through, but we held firm. Just as the situation seemed on the verge of spiraling out of control, the school security arrived like a cavalry. A teacher, whose eyes had widened in alarm, had alerted them. The man pried away from us, his furious protestations filling the silent hall as the guards removed him forcibly from the premises. The music, which had come to a startling halt, resumed its rhythm, though the notes now sounded hollow, devoid of the earlier joy. The dance floor cleared, the students scattering to the perimeters, their faces a mix of relief and fear. The atmosphere was tainted, the carefree laughter replaced by hushed whispers and wide-eyed stares. The police arrived swiftly, their authoritative presence an added reassurance. I remember sitting with my friends, recounting the incident in trembling voices. The room felt too bright, too real after the surreal experience. The police listened, their expressions grave as they jotted down our statements. The man, they informed us, was a local troublemaker with a history of harassment. His name was already known to them, his record tarnished with previous unsavory encounters. Their words sent a shiver down my spine. This man, who had so easily infiltrated our celebrations, was a familiar face to law enforcement. They assured us he would be dealt with, and their advice to stay vigilant and safe echoed in our minds. The aftermath of the incident cast a dark cloud over the prom night. The fear that had grabbed our hearts refused to let go. We decided to leave early, the vibrant decorations now a harsh reminder of our nightmarish experience. The whispers followed us, rumors springing up amongst the remaining students. In the following days, the school administration increased security measures. Metal detectors were installed, more guards were hired, and ID checks were enforced. Once a place of youthful exuberance, the hallways were now punctuated with a certain seriousness, a silent acknowledgement of what had transpired. Counseling services were offered to help us cope with the traumatic incident, and every meeting and every session seemed to serve as a stark reminder of the prom night gone wrong. The man's haunting image, his fervent gaze, the aggressive desperation in his voice, everything was etched into my memory. It was a horror that hadn't unfolded on a movie screen, but had transpired right before my eyes, in the midst of our laughter and revelry. Over time, however, the fear began to recede, replaced by a strong determination. We had experienced firsthand the dangerous pitfalls that lurked in social gatherings, the unseen threats that hid in the shadows. We couldn't erase our trauma, but we could use it to ensure that no one else ever had to go through a similar ordeal.
We hope you enjoyed our spine-tingling stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on our latest uploads. Until next time, sweet dreams, if you can sleep at all.